Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage, and I'm working on the van again. The heater core started dribbling, so I need to replace that. So this video, since people have asked on the van forums I'm on and whatnot, this is going to be a how to take the entire dashboard out and how to do the heater core. I know how to do the dashboard part, we're going to figure out the heater core part together. So let's get started. Alright, so first thing is we got to take the center part out here. There are two screws down on the bottom under here. And then there are two screws that are hidden in here. These are kind of a pain. You need either a very long screwdriver or a pretty long extension on your screw gun. So I'm going to pull that off first, and then that will let me bring this out. I'll be disconnecting the power from the cigarette lighter, and then this whole thing can get taken out and moved aside. Alright, so next up we're going to be taking this off. There's a couple screws and then there's a few bolts in the bottom. My van is a 95. These are 10 millimeters on my van. Earlier vans, these will be SAE bolts rather than metric. And then the next thing is I'm going to be taking this cover off here. There's a couple of screws, 1, 2, 3, and then there's screws that go up from underneath. Okay, I did it now, but I did it after, but it's actually easier to get this out if you shift it yourself down into a lower gear. Just gets out of the way of some of the screws. The next thing is the hardest part of this entire dash removal, which is the stupid headlight switch. You need to pull the knob out completely from the switch, and the way you do it is there's a button on the underside of the switch that you have to push up to release the knob, but it's incredibly fiddly. No other way to describe it. So it takes for effing ever to get it in exactly the right place to release this. You're also going to need to disconnect the battery, because in the process of pulling this out, you'll turn the headlights on, and then that'll mean the headlights are on the entire time you're doing your job, and you're just going to kill your battery. In my case, I've got additional switches mounted in these panels. It varies wildly van to van. I don't believe there's anything stock that goes in here, but conversion vans, past owners, whatever, these panels exist to add extra switches. So you'll have to, when you take these panels out with their screws, deal with whatever that wiring is. And then this is bolted in. The earlier ones will look different, but they're bolted in a similar way. The big difference is a 90s era van uses an electric speedo, so there's just a connector in the back to disconnect. If you have an earlier van, in addition to an electrical connector, you have to unscrew the speedo cable from the back of this and remove that to be able to get this out. This is also going to need to come loose. This you're not going to remove completely. You're going to unbolt it, and then, if I remember correctly, you end up feeding it through the dashboard hole once you get the entire dashboard loose. There's screws also all along the vent up here. And there's bolts at the bottom over there that need to come off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to futz with this forever and then disconnect all this, and I'll catch up with you once I've got this all disconnected. So at this point I've got the dash free. 1, 2, 3 screws up here, 2 bolts underneath, a couple more there, another one in that speaker grill over there, and one more bolt from up underneath at the far left there. And so now all of this is free. Now the next thing is the radio is part of the dash. It will come out with it, but I'm going to have to start maneuvering this out. It's got to come up enough to clear the steering column. And as soon as I get enough clearance to get in there, I need to disconnect the back of my radio. And then this whole dash will just lift up and out. I say that it's a little awkward and fiddly, but that's all it is to get it free. And like, this was less than a half an hour's work to get me to this point. So it's well worth just pulling the dash. I've seen people online talk about, like, it's so hard to take the dash out, you should cut it here. But then you have a dash that's sliced in half. This is like I said, less than half an hour's work. It's not that difficult. The earlier dash clusters that have the speedo cable that you have to unscrew, if that's not coming out, you can kind of maneuver it and then feed it. It's just one more thing you have to deal with. Same thing with this. Like, you can take this off if you really want to, but it's a royal pain in the ass, so you're better off just feeding it sort of this way out of the dashboard once you, and sort of weird angles once you get the dash up and out a bit. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to get this up and out of here. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see it because I'm not sure there's a place I can put the camera. And then once I get to that, then we're going to expose the heater core and swap out the heater core in this. While I have the dash out, I think I'm going to also put new dash speakers in, but I need to know what size they are first. So that's, but since, if you're taking the dash out for one thing, do everything you can think of to do behind the dash, just because it's a pain in the ass. So might as well upgrade the dash speakers if you're doing the heater core. Honestly, it might be worth doing a heater core if you're doing something else under here. But yeah, let's get to that. All right, 2 more things to get this off. One was I just forgot to undo the nut that held the headlight switch on. The other one is, if you've got 2 people, you can kind of finagle it around the steering wheel. But I forgot, if you're alone, it's way easier to just drop the steering column. For mine, it was 2 15 mil bolts. It'll be something similar, but SAE. This one, once you've got that lower panel off, you can reach them easily. Drop the steering column. It'll just kind of hang, and that's enough clearance for you to get it up and out. And now you can see you've got easy access to everything. Like, want to change a speaker, it's right there. Want to change the other one, it's right there. There's the air box for the heater core, and it's just so much easier to work on everything this way. This, I just had to find the right combination of angle, and it'll slide right out the right side like I showed you. And then, you know, disconnected my stereo wiring. But yeah, then there's just 2 more things. These will pop off when you pull it off, or you can pull them off yourself. These feed these little side vents for the windows. But like I said, they'll pop off on their own, or you can pull them off. You just have to remember to put them back on when you're reassembling. So yeah, dashboard is off, less than half an hour. And now I'm going to dig into that heater core. So now we've got to get into the box here to get the heater core out, and this is the part I have no idea how to do. So I know the heater core comes in from this side rather than from the dash side, from the engine compartment side, but I'm not sure how exactly I'm supposed to get at it. So for that. I'm sure there's instructions for this somewhere else online. If I was smarter, I would go find them and follow them. Okay, we got screws coming in from the wrong direction. Well, that's annoying. Is this one? Oh God, is this one of the GM ones where they assemble the whole thing from the other side and then feed it to the firewall and then bolt it in from the other? I think it is. Well, hell. Alright, now we got the heater box exposed, and looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 vacuum lines in here. Oh, I pulled this hose off to get it out of the way. It's taped to a little thing here with electrical tape, so it should be easy to put back in place. But looks like there's a gray one there. This is mostly for my own sake. There's a gray one here. Come on. What a weird design. We got a black one here. No, blue one here. Sorry. This one's blue. We got an orange one somewhere back here that I can't... I can see where it goes, but I can't reach it. I'll get that one off later. And I got a red one up here. These are the diaphragms that operate all of your heater, like open the doors to change like where the air is going and how hot it is and whatnot. So you need to have those in the right place and connected, or they're not going to work. Be careful taking them off. Like I said, they're a weird thing. So you need to kind of like pry this up over the little 90-degree so that you can pull the whole thing this way. And then it looks like I've got a 10 mil down here or something similar. And then I saw one on the other side in the engine compartment that I'm hoping is the only other one I got to get out. Alright. I got it loose. So I haven't gotten it out yet, but I've gotten it loose. So there's a screw here in the top of the box that holds it to this. There's another one buried down there. Both of those are, I think, 7 mil. And then there's a couple more 7 mils up here that hold this upper duct in place that kind of pins the top. And then there's a side duct over here that fits up in here with another 7 mil there. This one was useful to get undone just because it can help me get my hand in there. Down here was that 10 mil. And then over on the engine compartment side, the 2 hoses you have to remove are down there. Can't really show you them worth a damn. If you've got a conversion van with rear heat, there's a diverter valve right there, which are really prone to breaking or leaking. So I would strongly recommend, because you're going to have to be yanking hoses off and whatnot, 1, plan on replacing the short bits of hose between the diverter valve and the heater core, even if you're not replacing the rest of your heater hoses, just because those are so short that the best bet is probably going to be to just cut them on both. You know, take the hoses out, cut them off the nipples, and kind of pry them off. I would also recommend buying a diverter valve because, like I said, those things are really prone to leaking. Spend the money, buy the AC Delco original GM one, because apparently all the other ones leak. I have taken mine out because my van was equipped with the option of rear heat, but didn't actually have the rear heat installed, so I didn't need it in there. But the diverter valve I put in before I discovered that I didn't need it leaked almost immediately. So yeah, just spend the money. But anyway, there's a couple of these things, these like sheet metal nuts. There's one here and one there. This one I had to feed a long extension in to get to it. Those are both 11s to get there. And to get my hand in here to get the hoses off, I also just removed the end of the airbox and pushed the rest of it over just to get myself some freedom. But those two nuts at the top are the only thing that's holding the heater box in from the side, which obviously you have to take the hoses off to pull the box out. So now I am at this stage. Oh, and this brace here had 2 bolts here. There's another bolt that comes in from inside the engine compartment. I decided I was just going to try and sort of bend it out of the way a little bit and then bend it back and bolt it in when I'm done. We'll find out if that works or not. But I'm kind of trying to, like, this vent is loose but not removed all the way, which might be a lazy choice. This vent is still secured in place because I don't know where else it's attached. I think it might be attached behind this one. But getting all that loose, let me yank the thing. Like, in here is not a bad place to grab, to kind of just yank it until you can pop it free, and then it's the fiddly job of finagling it around everything, including and especially probably this brace. It is a very awkward shape, and it's in among a bunch of other awkward shapes, so getting it out is going to be a pain in the butt no matter what. What am I calling? Oh, God. Okay, this needs to come out. For this out of the bracket suck to get out. They are reachable from inside the engine compartment, but you have to reach down into the tunnel, peel back the aluminum and fiberglass insulation because the bolt heads are behind that. An electric ratchet, you know, something that's an electric ratchet shaped like this, not a gun like this, will make your life so much easier. They are 13 mils. You can do it with a regular ratchet, but it gonna suck. So let's see. Now, that is worth the time to take off. Now I can reach and get this final orange hose off. Oh, and there's a pink one too on the side here. I didn't even see. Now, the cables are still connected. So, from looking online, there are these two screws here that hold this bracket that need to come off, and then a variety on the front, on the top and bottom here that need to come off. So I'm going to do that. Two more there and there hidden under the foam. These are all 5.5 mil, which is a dumb size. Should come apart. Oh. Two more here and here. Now is it free? Yep, there we go. So final count, 3 across here, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 3 more across the bottom, and the 2 holding the bracket on this side will allow you to split the case. A variety of things, including 2 different of the little screws that I used for the action camera mounts. I didn't even know I'd somehow lost 2 of them down here. And this spring looks really familiar. I don't know what it's from, but it's familiar enough it's bugging the hell out of me. Yes, I thought I lost a screw during the disassembly process in there. Finding it bugging me. And then we've got brackets here, patrolling. there's our heater core free. Alright, so I'm comparing these. The tank ends are the same. The angle of those are the same. But the heater core itself is very slightly smaller. But the fins are tighter, so it's going to be similar efficiency. I put this together and then had to take it apart again because the whole thing was over too far this side, so this was pushed against this side and bulging the side out, so the box wasn't going to seal worth a damn. So I ended up, these couldn't move over far enough, so I very, very gently bent them this way, which dimpled them, the metal in a little here to allow them to tip, but that was enough to do that. And then it came with this foam, and until I got it in the right spot, I didn't realize the problem is these little gaps here. So I cut the foam strips and put them like that, so that now this should center itself, be able to be centered, and not have a way for air to get out around it. All right, day two. Yesterday, my partner came out, helped me get this bolted in, because me having bent the bracket to try and get it out without taking the bracket out, kind of effed me putting it back in again, because my best attempt to straighten it, this still wasn't lined up right with these holes. So they had to kind of be in here moving the bracket around while I was feeding the bolts in. If you're doing this, spend the extra little bit to take the doghouse off, the 2 clamps on the other side and 2 bolts down here, and then you've got access right there. Totally worth it. Once again, I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to figure out ways to avoid doing stuff like that, and I make more work for myself, so be smarter than me. But anyway, at this point, this is all back in, this is back in, these are all hooked back up, these are all reconnected. I'm not sure if I have this vent connected to the side of this correctly or not. I can't even show you, but I can't tell if it's supposed to be inside what's on here, or this is supposed to be in that, so there's a chance that this is not in right. But it's like, if it's wrong, it's like 80+% in the right place, so I'll call that good enough. So at this point, from this side, the dash could go back in. I just bought some speakers today, so I'm going to swap these out while I'm in here. I still have to connect the hoses on the other side to finish out the work there. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to put the hoses... I think I'm going to put the hoses back on and maybe fill and bleed the system. If it'll start disassembled with the dash disassembled like that, I might start and run it just to make sure I don't have any, like that heater core is not bad, or I don't have any other leaks before I commit. I probably can also like test all the positions. Hell, I'll maybe be able to find if that leaks there. Yeah, I'll do that. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to do that. I think it'll be fine to start. If it won't start with the dash cluster out, I can plug it in and just lay it somewhere, because that's the only thing that I really removed. Everything else was just pulled apart. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna try. You can't see the hoses worth of damn in the engine compartment. There's no point in doing a time lapse. So once I've got that done and filled, I'll come back. Enough. Started it, ran it. It's not leaking. I think I might have an air bubble in there because the heat wasn't great, but that could be also the engine didn't get fully up to temp. Can't tell. Temp gauge is over there somewhere. But if there is an air bubble, the best thing you can do is drive it in a situation with these vans, and usually that'll clear the bubble out. But no obvious problems, no leaks. Good enough. That means I can reassemble. I did put a set of Pioneer 4x6s in the dash, chosen through the very difficult process of they were what were in stock. If I'd been planning to swap the speakers, I would have done a little more research. I probably would have gone with a triple cone, but because I had to do the heater core, and I was gonna have the dashboard off anyways. Like, I'm gonna just throw speakers at it, because the factory ones are A, junk, and B, the driver's side one was cutting in and out. So these were just what Best Buy had in stock. That's better than the van being down for who knows how long until something gets shipped. So they'll do for now. They weren't that expensive. If I really hate them, I can change them out later, but I'm not on an audiophile, so I probably won't care. So yeah, now it's just the joy of reassembly. And there we are. Dash is all back in. All went fine. Just had to remember where stuff went. I lost one of the screws that go over there. I don't know where I put it. I'm sure it's somewhere in the shag carpet. I will find it as I'm cleaning. But yeah, the switches work. My lights work. Puddle lights work. There's my keys. Heat works properly. Radio power's on. It's gonna turn onto a bad radio station. So yeah, we are all good. We're back to fighting fit. Like I said, I think I've got an air bubble in the heater core, but should take care of itself once I do some driving. So there you go. Dash. That's how to take a dash in and out. That's how to do a heater core. So I hope that's helpful to somebody. Thank you all very much. Have a good night.